around. Very good.
Bob, I've got you a whole set.
Excellent. Oh, she just knows I'm running it.
Here's your whole set.
Well,
I have one thing.
very good.
Okay.
Are y'all ready?
Yes, ma'am. I'm timing it. Ready.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I do have to brag. I said the reason that we thought it would be so important to do this is that everybody's growing gardens this year, and hopefully things are growing really, really well. And I cut this out of the garden day before yesterday. That's what I'm harvesting a bunch of out of my garden. So that's
hey, Bob.
You just can't eat all of that at once.
You shouldn't have.
What's that?
You shouldn't have.
See, I told him a long time ago that back years ago when I worked with Alton Grimm, people would come in bringing these huge tomatoes and things out of their garden, and I knew they were just bringing them to show off. And when they came in with them, I'd look at them and say, "Oh, you shouldn't have." And then they felt obligated to leave them there. And I got lots of good produce that way. Anyway, come on in, guys. It is our great privilege and pleasure here this morning to have a couple of just great people, as well as great authorities on many aspects of gardening. Marilyn Magaro I have known for many years with the Texas Department of Agriculture, and this is the lady that is so responsible for the Go Texan program, has worked so much with the farmers markets in places around the area, places like the Pearl Market, and she does so much with the Festival of Flowers, which will be coming up the last Saturday of this month. And anyway, all of the great Go Texan products that you see, and I hope you come over to the rodeo and stock show and visit the Texas Experience. I used to say tent, but it's not really a tent. It's a pavilion now. But anyway, this lady does so much for Texas agriculture and for all of us. Connie is a new friend, but comes very highly recommended by Marilyn, and I see that we're going to enjoy all sorts of good benefits. But as always, what we usually do is let people ask questions as you go, and if it's appropriate to answer them, we'll answer. And if it's something you're going to cover a little later, just say we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
I don't want to interrupt progress. Do want to thank everybody for coming. How many of y'all are first time you've been here? Any first timers here?
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming over.
It won't be your last, that's for sure.
Tomorrow's a big party. Mother's Day is the day that we opened 29 years ago as of tomorrow. We do a pretty good party on Mother's Day. If you notice the sealed freezer out on the side deck, that's got more Bluebell ice cream in it than you could possibly imagine. So 11 to 3 tomorrow, we all made our favorite homemade cookie recipes, just unlimited Bluebell ice cream. George Gaitan will be here with his guitar. So please come over and enjoy with us. And thank you all for coming today. And I'll just turn it over to you guys and let you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Certainly.
Well, good morning and welcome everyone again. Before we get started with the main program, Miss Connie, I want to invite everyone to make sure that you pick up recipes and everything down here in the front. Make sure you leave with the olive oil cookbooks. These are recipes in here that will be everything from salads to desserts, and I guarantee you won't find anything wrong with those chocolate brownies inside. I did bring a quantity of Earth Kind Rose brochures. These are all free. Please take home. Of course, the experts here, but these are just free. And then Superstar brochures. These are plants that once you get them established are going to thrive in the South Texas heat. The key word is get them established. And again, our expert, I'll defer to our expert on all of these types of things, but these are free brochures.
Isn't it good to know that your tax money in an occasional rare case goes to a good purpose? Texas Department of Agriculture, Texas Parks and Wildlife, there are a few real good folks out there, but
we try. We're from the government. We're here to help.
And in this case, it's true.
When Bob called and asked if I could come and do some type of demonstration here, he says, you know, I have no problem growing it, I have no problem eating it, but what do I do between the time I have my harvest and the time I have the time to sit down and eat also? What do I do with my product? And I said, you know, okay, Let me call Connie and see if we can free her up on a weekend. Connie is with the Texas Agri-Life Extension Service, and when it comes to cooking and preserving, I defer to her. I just help a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and it makes those networking connections work. That's my job. As I said earlier, I defer to the expert when it comes to growing. I defer to the experts when it comes to the cooking and the harvesting. Connie's been with the Extension Service, we're not going to even talk how many years, but just a couple. And
I hear they may offer early out. I'm getting
hey, well, that's good. But I'm going to turn it over to Connie, and again, the title of our demonstration today is, Now That I've Got It, What Do I Do With It?
And Marilyn's timing us on our pepper jelly. How much more time do we have?
You've got about 1.5 minutes.
Okay, what we've done is we're going to talk about canning, freezing. I want to answer your questions. If you have a question I can't answer, we're going to give you a reference or resource where you can get the question answered. But I wanted to do something real quick so you can see that it's fun, it's easy, you can do it at home. And so what's in here is 4 jalapeno peppers and 5 bell peppers.
Pull out your handout for peppers.
And it's like towards the very back. Is it the last page?
On page 11. Page 11. Pepper jelly.
So we blended them up until it was green foam. Truly, you blend it until it's green foam. You put your green foam in the pot, and we're going to put 5 cups of sugar, 1 cup of vinegar, and we brought it to a boil for 10 minutes. And of course, our cooking. Anyway, we finally got it to boil. So we boiled it for 10 minutes. Now we're going to move it off the flame. I'm going to leave the flame on, so I want to be careful here. We're going to move it off, and I'm going to you move it off to put in your sure gel. And this is liquid Certo or sure gel. It's a pectin. You can make jelly at home without pectin, but you have to have a mixture of ripe and unripe, so you're safer to put a pectin in it. So I always, if I'm going to spend the money and time, I'm going to use a pectin to make sure I get a good gel. So I'm going to throw in my pectin. Somebody asked, there's liquid pectin and there's powdered pectin, and when to use what? You use what the recipe calls for. Or in the boxes, they're very good about having the recipes if you're just going to do a plain jelly or jam. And if I'm going to do one of those, I like to use the liquid with my liquids, and I like to use the powder if I'm doing a jam or have pieces of fruit in it. Okay, so I'm going to stir this up. I'm going to move it back over here, and it has to come to a rolling boil for 1 minute. The rolling boil is going to set the gel. Now in the pan, there's always some foam on the sides, and one of the secrets to clear jelly that doesn't get grainy, competition jelly, is once it boils and it stops boiling, okay, now I've got stuff on the side of the pan, I'm not going to drive that down again because it's sugar pieces that are not crystallized, so I leave that alone and I just stir, and when I scoop it out, I'm going to leave the sides of the pan alone, I'm not going to disturb them. So we're going to let that come up to boil. The jellies are a good way to get started in canning and freezing and what to do with stuff. It's the least likely to cause foodborne illness. It's the quickest thing to do, and there's a lot of varieties. In the recipes, you can mix up all kinds. There's a golden pepper jelly recipe in there for you. There was a relish. There was one you read that sounded pretty good. It was a mix of pepper and something.
Apricot pepper jelly.
Doesn't that sound good? So there's a lot of different recipes. Now, I've mentioned recipes, and the caveat, and one of the reasons we like to do the canning and cooking presentations or canning and freezing is because canning and freezing technology has changed over the years. We know more than we used to know about bacteria growth, and so some of the recommendations are different than they may have been several years ago. In 2005, the recommendations changed, and so we ask that when you're looking at recipes, when you're looking at references, you don't use anything before 2004 or 2005. So anything before 2004, 2005, we can't even talk to you about it. If you call and say, I have Grandma's recipe, no, I can talk to you about a recipe we have. We can't use Grandma's recipe because, one, the peppers and tomatoes that we're growing are different than the peppers and tomatoes Grandma grew. The tomatoes used to have higher acid. We wanted less acid. Our growing seasons are different. Some of the things you grow in the garden are different than Grandma and Grandpa might have grown. Some of the varieties are different. And so we have to change some of our preservation methods. The other thing we know more about botulism, and botulism comes from foods, botulism comes from foods that are not canned properly.